clearly the complete siege on Gaza, the elimination or the prevention rather of water, food, electricity, the prevention of aid, widespread preventable illnesses, killing people. Now we see 2 million people on the brink of starvation. Clearly, these are all intended to destroy a group of people. When you compound that with the indiscriminate bombing in the most densely populated places on Earth, I would absolutely constitute that as genocidal killing. And then Piers, compound that with the fact that there's genocidal intent.
I'm sorry, your answer is so good, Abby, but she has this unfair advantage that her facial expressions
you can't help but look at her.
They're fascinating to watch. It's a kind of kabuki, like
Japanese
kabuki
mask.
smirking, you know?
Well, Piers even has to ask her at a certain point, like, why are you laughing when we're talking about dead kids? Like, quite literally, he's just like, is this a joke?
Is this a joke to you? Yeah, which is, I mean, listen, this is the thing with Zionism and Zionists in general is, I've said before, they absolutely have an inverted view of reality. Like, we laugh at this in order not to cry because it is so horrific. But Zionists believe they are the victims, and so they don't know what they look like when they are laughing at the fact that their own country, or the country they support, is murdering children. Again, gallows humor is not the same thing.
Not my type of humor.
Well, Israelis think gallows humor is when the hangman makes a joke. That is the way that they interpret it. They don't fully understand them as the oppressor.
Anyway, folks, we want to bring up our next our next victim.
Our next Israeli stand-up comedian. I just flew into Gaza, and boy, are all those kids I killed tired.
Oh God!
What? Why aren't you laughing? I am the good guy. Sorry. So then, Emily responds to that, and with just, it's amazing to me because her response to is Israel committing a genocide is so. Her denial is so genocidal in nature that I can't compute why she doesn't see herself. Like how does she view herself? But I'll play it for you guys so you can understand how insane it truly is.
Of course, not all Palestinians are human animals, and Palestinian civilians, there are many innocent people. However, as President Herzog said, it is also true that there is a certain degree of complicity with many of the people of Gaza. Now, does that mean that they deserve to die, as she stated? No, of course not. But it's not the same thing as being innocent either.
Whoa! and then the face she returns to after making her mic drop face.
I know, literally. I'm sorry. I don't like to be the guy. I know I'm going to get comments about this, about body shaming, but she looks like a shaved Grinch. Like she's got, like the whole thing is very Dr. Seussy.
The mouth shape is, she got a triangular sort of mouth situation and those Seussy eyes. Yeah.
I mean, just the
doesn't mean they're entirely innocent either.
Yeah.
Like,
and what I love is Piers Morgan listens to the sentence she just said and computes it and processes it immediately and goes, "Wait, what?" And this is the rest of that clip.
There are no innocent people in the Palestinian side.
I don't think that it's true that there's no innocent people.
Isn't that what you just effectively said?
I think that there is a certain degree of complicity
Literally
with many of the population.
How
As
many?
we see in the polls, according to their polls, a Palestinian conducted poll,
How many?
over 70% of the people in Gaza support the actions of October 7th. I wish it wasn't the case.
But Emily, you're just using
using
that poll. You're using that poll to paint all civilians as guilty. Do you realize that?
I am
when you do that,
absolutely
you're
not.
dehumanizing
I literally
Palestinians.
stated the opposite.
Yes, you are.
I said 70%.
You're saying that because
I'm sorry. I literally stated the opposite. Merely 70% need to die.
Well, because again, it's a binary. It's either all or not all.
Genocide or let it slide. It's either all or fall. Here we go.
I said 70%.
Emily?
Of course there are innocent Palestinians.
So what does that mean?
But
What
many
you're rationalizing collective punishment and starvation of 2 million people, 1 million kids. That's what you're rationalizing by saying that 70% agree
over
with the actions of October
17,000
7th.
trucks.
So 70% of people in Palestine are of this view. 50% of that population are under 18. They're children. So are you including large numbers of children in your assessment that Palestinians all believe this way?
I don't believe that the statistics of that poll, how they conducted it, included children. However, I don't know, so I would have to investigate that
It didn't
further.
include children, then that doesn't include half the people in Gaza.
Yeah. And I mean, just she goes on at one point to talk about how the children in Gaza are being abused by Hamas.
Right.
And I'm just gonna play a little bit of that because this to me is just we'll play it.
70% of the people in Gaza have a view would have to include a lot of children, right? And if you don't include the children, you don't include half the population, well, then you're talking about a narrow number of people, comparative.
Sure, but you also have to consider the fact that Hamas is actively recruiting and indoctrinating youth with this very extremist jihadist ideology, and it's child abuse. It's an unfortunate reality that Palestinian children are dealing with.
So that leads me to my next question for you, Abby. Isn't it justified? Isn't it right that in order to stop child abuse, you have to kill children?
You'll be greatly reducing the number of abused children in the world. That's what we want.
Right, of course. Right. Yeah, exactly. You have to kill
I mean,
children
I
en
think
masse.
that's a
Yeah.
perfectly cromulent question, and I don't see why anyone would have a problem with it. No, just like that point of calling children, like framing them as child abuse victims from at the hands of Hamas as a justification for the indiscriminate murder of children by the hands of Israel is like, it's so detached from reality that, like, you know, there are times when I try not to look at my own personal history, you know, like growing up in West Los Angeles and, you know, growing up with a lot of Zionists, with a lot of Israelis too, you know, and meeting all different kinds and knowing that, like, it's a spectrum of beliefs that everyone has, especially in the United States. You're not really getting the raw shit. But I look at that and I just go, like, what is the thinking in Israeli society that allows this kind of messaging to go completely just unchecked or like
Well, yeah, it's less explained by just a total fucking settler like her. I mean, someone who just lives in Los Angeles and moves to Israel. I understand the cradle to grave indoctrination. I truly do.
Yeah.
The forced separation, the apartheid that's actually used against Israelis as well, that they can't go into the West Bank, they can't go to Gaza, they never interact with Palestinian kids. But for someone like Emily, who just leaves LA in her mid-20s and just makes Aliyah and is just living in a fanatical fascist state and becomes a propagandist for them, it takes a level of depravity and sociopathy that I can't wrap my mind around at all. I mean, I saw her conduct an interview with one of these Israeli spokespeople for, of course, Western audiences to consume. And the whole thing was just saying how the death toll is fake, how we can't trust the numbers, and how the vast majority are not children. They're actually Hamas militants. And it was just the most disgusting genocide denial I've ever seen. To do that for your job. Yeah. It's truly sick.
Yeah. I mean, and it like blows my mind because, you know, Emily is such a interesting, or not interesting, but I'm fascinated by her as a Hasbarista because she's so recognizable as people that I grew up with. Like, I'm literally also, I'm an LA boy, born and raised. Like I had to like I was like trying to look up like what high school did she go to, and I wanted to know. And you know, when I saw she went to USC, I was like, oh, okay, so she went to a private school probably. But you know, I just like, you know, I look at that kind of soul destroying job, and part of me goes like, I think your soul needs to be destroyed before you enter this kind of work. Like it just it blows my mind.
You're a true believer. I mean, you're a true believer. None of these people, I mean, certainly there's people who are paid to lie and they know that it's not anti-Semitic. I think that's the main thing that they know that they're lying about. But other than that, I truly think people like Emily believe in the rhetoric. It's just like, you know, like Marco Rubio being asked by the Parkland kid, like, why do you get money from the NRA? They pay you to do this and that. He's like, no, they buy into my agenda. This is what I believe. Like, I get money from them because I believe this. And so I think that, you know, when you're looking at corporate media stooges or agents for empire, they're true believers in the system, and they are all Zionists, and they believe in U.S. hegemony and U.S. imperialism. So it's hard to like unpack that. And yeah, they're soulless and they just want to ascend in their careers and they want the access. But someone like Emily, you can tell she literally thinks what she's saying.
Yeah,
for the most part,
and
that's what's so scary.
That is what's
not to armchair psychoanalyze, but there's something deeply damaged there.
Please do. This is my favorite thing you do.
I mean,
we're all here for it.
I mean, you have to be deeply damaged in the part of you that feels things.
Yes,
you have to. Something happened in LA, whether it was earlier in her life or more recently, that a place where she can go and be on top and join the powerful and not give a shit and be a part of a winner. There's something there that's filling a deep emotional need for these people. Same thing like Richie Torres. These true believers. There's Israel is a project. It's an external projection of some internal drive that which makes it impossible for these people to wake up out of it, because they need it too much to keep their sense of identity together.
Thank you so much for watching that. Please like and subscribe, and please support us, patreon.com/badhasbara, or go to badhasbara.com.